Have you ever seen one of those movies where it's advertised one way, but then you go watch the film and it's very clearly about something completely different? That's the best way to describe this week's film. Let's talk about Sinners. And before we get into this, normally I write scripts for these kinds of things and I use that as a guide to help me out here. I'm trying something different. I'm going no script at all. This is all just coming out of my brain as I talk, so might be a little bit more stream of consciousness than I usually do. I'll edit down some of my ums and ahs and outtakes and all those kinds of things, but trying something different. So if you like that, please let me know down in the comments. Also, liking, sharing, subscribing actually helps me out a lot. I'm a very small channel. I get like 20 views on a good day. So if you could do those things for me, I would genuinely appreciate it. All right, let's talk about Sinners. So this movie's been getting a lot of attention in the press lately because it's the first original IP since 2019, Us, I believe it was, to make big box office numbers. And that's a big deal because lately it's been a lot of just tentpole movies kind of swallowing up all the box office, and then the smaller films are coming out, they're getting buried, and then they end up on streaming within a week or so, or a month or so, I should say, and that's it for those films. And they don't really get the attention that they deserve. So it's really cool to see an original IP doing this. Now, Ryan Coogler isn't a director without any clout at all whatsoever. Obviously, he did the Black Panther movie, so he definitely got some attention from that. And I think that's also part of the reason why the media has been kind of downplaying this achievement. They've been talking a lot about how the movie cost $90 million to make, or maybe the budget was actually lied about. It was $180 million. And it feels to me like they're trying to take away from the big deal that this really is. And I was trying to think about, okay, well, why is it that Ryan Coogler is not getting celebrated as much for his accomplishment as he should be? And I think it is because of those Marvel movies. Because he was this indie filmmaker, it's kind of looked at as selling out that he made Marvel films. But to me, grabbing an indie filmmaker and saying, hey, make this cool movie like that, I want to see more of that going on. Jon Favreau with Iron Man. Nobody really knew who Jon Favreau was before he made Iron Man, and then he made Iron Man, and now everybody knows who Jon Favreau is. You know, he's one of the guys who's currently doing a lot of stuff with Star Wars, and I think he's also still working on Marvel a little bit. He's obviously still playing Happy Hogan in the Marvel movies. And I think there's this idea that once you kind of touch Marvel or you touch DC, like James Gunn, he started off as a trauma guy and he worked his way up to doing Guardians of the Galaxy, which was a huge hit, and now he's over running things at DC. He's about to have a Superman movie come out. But there's this concept of once you touch that, now you're one of those guys. You're not going to be able to make a smaller movie or whatever. And you're probably wondering why I'm talking about all this stuff, because it has nothing to do with Sinners, but I think it's important to talk about how we view movies as something other than a movie. A lot of times I look in these comment threads where people are talking about films, and there's just like this idea that they want these studios to fail. They want Disney to fail. They want Marvel to fail. They want Star Wars to fail. They want DC to fail and James Gunn. And it just gets to a point where it's not about the movie anymore. Most of the people who said the Snow White movie was bad didn't even go see the Snow White movie. They just said that it was bad. Now, don't take that as me saying it's good, because I haven't seen the Snow White movie. I don't really want to see it. I don't really care about live action Disney remakes. I've never been a fan of taking something that was from an animated medium and making it live action. I think that just defeats the entire purpose of it being animated in the first place. I digress. Sinners is a movie that I'm actually seeing people are going to the theater and watching. So that's something that I think should be celebrated. And I don't think we should be downers on these filmmakers that went and made Marvel movies. You know, Ryan Coogler started off as an independent filmmaker in Oakland. He made that movie Fruitvale Station with Michael B. Jordan. And, you know, he got a lot of accolades for making that movie, as he rightly should. And then he got offered to make Black Panther, and he made a unique comic book movie. He made something different that we hadn't seen before. And I think Ryan Coogler deserves some praise for that. But let's talk about the actual movie itself. It's a bit of a Trojan horse. It says it's a horror movie about vampires. It's about something else. It's really about America during a specific period in time, the 1930s. It's about two brothers who are both played by Michael B. Jordan, so he's doing kind of a dual role, and pretty cool how they pulled that off, actually. I mean, we obviously have a lot of modern technology now, but he had to do the performance. So Smoke and Stack, that's the brothers. They fought in World War I. They ran off to Chicago. I believe they stole from Al Capone or the mob. It's very heavily hinted at. And they came back to their hometown to open up a juke, which is kind of like a bar. And this is their way of giving back to the community. In a way, I think that put up with all their nonsense when they were kids, because they're pretty infamous. Some people are afraid of them. Some people are like, oh, these guys again. I think they want to create a place where their people can come together and enjoy the music that they love, which is the blues and soul, that kind of stuff. And in this universe, music has power. Somebody could write a song that's so powerful that it can summon their ancestors from the past, the present, and the future. So that's one thing that's kind of unique about this movie. And there's a sequence where they actually kind of show this in a way, and it's very cool. I liked how they did it. For some viewers though, I think they're gonna see that and go, wow, this movie got really weird all of a sudden. It kind of went off the rails. But just stick with it, because there is a point to it. And it does play into what the vampire wants as well, because the vampire also wants to build community. It's just his way of building community is biting you and turning you into a vampire. And the vampirism in this movie is very traditional, garlic, holy water, that kind of thing, sunlight, right? Stakes to the heart. So there's that part of it. But the other part is when he bites you, you get all of his memories. And then I think you share the memories with the other people that have been bitten as well. So everyone basically understands one another. So his way of building a community is making you one of him. So his intentions are actually noble in a way, but he's also saying for you to be accepted in my community, you basically have to be me, which comes with its own toxic implications, as it were. With that said, the movie's not really about the twins. It's actually about this boy who's, he's really young. He's a sort of savant at playing guitar and singing, and he's the one that sings the big song in the movie that actually summons the vampire. So the vampire hears that song, and it brings him to the town, and it brings him to the juke, and he wants to get inside to turn this boy. And he has a very specific reason for that. I don't want to spoil it for people that are interested, but the vampire is not really the main bad guy of the movie. But that's really when the movie twists itself back to being more of a historical drama, focusing on a specific part of America in a specific period of time and how a specific group of people were treated during that time. And I think that's totally fine. And I understand why this movie was advertised as a horror film, because if they advertised it for what it really was, I don't think as many people would have been enticed to go see it. It kind of tricks you into going to watch it, but then once you watch it, you're like, oh, this is actually a good movie. And it's interesting because I've actually seen some comments online that say that the horror elements of the film are actually the thing that come off as kind of corny or cheesy. It does kind of butt up tonally against what the movie's trying to be about. But with that said, overall, I think it's a good movie. I think you should check it out. I think we need to be giving original ideas a better chance. Don't wait for streaming for everything. I know streaming is convenient. I know going to the movies can be kind of a hassle, but you can't replicate a theatrical experience at home. This movie's definitely one that's worth your time to go check out in a theater. If you like horror movies, you may not like this one all that much as a horror film. And I think part of that is also it's a little long for a horror movie. But if you're a fan of historical dramas, I would definitely not let the vampire scare you off from checking this movie out, because the movie's more about that. There's like 90 minutes of setup before vampires really become a big part of the story anyway. Also, I want to say, make sure you stick around for the credits, because there is an after the credits scene. You don't have to sit through the whole credits. It's like as they're showing the names of the cast members. A lot of people walked off when I was watching the movie. I don't recommend you do that, because the ending that you get if you leave when the credits start isn't really that satisfying or fulfilling, I don't think. And it's really not until that sort of post-ending epilogue where you really get the true end to the story. And I think that that is what really kind of solidified this movie for me. It's not the kind of movie that I would personally want to go back and watch 100 times. It doesn't really have that appeal for me. And also for horror films, and I've talked about this endlessly, 90 minutes is really the sweet spot for me. This movie is definitely a lot longer than that, which is fine, but I would also, again, place it more in the genre of historical drama that just happens to have kind of a fictionalized component to it.
You keep dancing with the devil. One day he's gonna follow you home.
But that's just my opinion. Did you see Sinners? If you did, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe. Also, let me know if you like this format. This is a lot more informal. I'm not used to just kind of talking in front of the camera and not having a script or something like that prepared in advance. So if you like that, let me know too. And I'll catch y'all next time.